Hey, what's going on, guys? Just want to shoot this video real quick before I head out to work. Um, a few of you might be wondering about the Plasti-Dip that I mentioned. So I was going to talk about that a little bit. I ended up removing the Plasti-Dip from the L brackets right here on the arms, just because I don't know. I'm kind of digging this brushed aluminum look that I finished. So I think I might leave it like this for a while before I get it powder coated. Here's the thing about Plasti-Dip. Well, in terms of Plasti-Dipping the little elbows right here, if you decide you want to do it, you definitely want to avoid getting it in the threads. It makes putting those thumb screws, it makes it extremely tight. And it was definitely a pain in the butt to get it out of the threads. So the solution to that basically would be if you have some 1032 screws laying around, some cap screws, what you would do basically is you would just thread them a little bit, and then you would go ahead and Plasti-Dip everything. And rather than doing like 4 or 5 coats, which you would do if you were just, Plasti-Dipping really, like this base, I just did like 4 or 5 coats. You would have to go ahead and basically apply 4 or 5 coats right then and there. And then before the Plasti-Dip cures, you would have to remove the thumb screws, because basically what happens is the Plasti-Dip is going to bond, and if you were to try taking this out, if you were to pull this thumb screw out, basically, say it was Plasti-Dipped, as you pull it away, that Plasti-Dip is bonded to itself, and it would completely pull it off the elbow right here. So I know this because I watched a tutorial on YouTube. These guys have a channel called Dip Your Car, and this guy talks about basically doing line work with Plasti-Dip, and he masks off an area with painter's tape and then pulls the painter's tape off. Because if you were to wait until the Plasti-Dip dried and then pull the painter's tape away, since it had bonded both to the surface and of whatever you're Plasti-Dipping and to the surface of the painter's tape, the Plasti-Dip would just completely rip. So yeah. I mean, this is basically what I'm working with right now. I'm kind of digging it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's just finished on 220 grits, and to get some consistent grind lines, I just got a piece of glass, which I know is flat, put 220 grit wet or dry automotive sandpaper on it, taped it down, and then I got a speed square and clamped it to, for example, like put the glass right here with the sandpaper, then put the speed square on top of the sandpaper, and I'd clamp it down, and I'd use the speed square as basically a guide, and I would just, whatever surface I was sanding at the time, I would, butt this up against the speed square, and obviously just let the abrasive do the work and just move it. Ooh. Sorry about that. And just go back and forth, very light pressure again, let the abrasive do the work, and end up getting some pretty, I don't know if you can see, but, pretty consistent grind lines here. Yeah, you can kind of see right here on the base as well. So yeah, let's go talk about that a little bit. Oh, hey, one thing definitely I want to address is I ended up Plasti-Dipping the riser. And you'll have to forgive me if I'm kind of scatterbrained. I'm not making a whole lot of sense. I'm actually I'm a little sick right now, so kind of doped up on some cold medication. I Plasti-Dipped the riser and the jaws. But one thing I realize is Plasti-Dip definitely sticks to itself, especially under extreme pressure, like whenever you go ahead and snug up these cap screws and you anchor all this in. Plasti-Dipped it, and I took the unit apart again, and after I removed the cap screws coming through the crossbar and pulled the jaw off, the bottom of the Plasti-Dip on the bottom of the jaws and on the riser stuck to itself. And also, if you go ahead and like tighten this down, and then try to remove the two sides of the jaws, the Plasti-Dip sticks all inside here, and basically just kind of started peeling off. So if you wanted to Plasti-Dip, your jaws and the riser, again, just mask it with some painter's tape, and before the painter's tape dries, whatever area you do not want Plasti-Dip, put the painter's tape and remove it before it dries, and then just let it cure completely. So yeah, I hope this makes sense. Hope this helps, and yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. If you decide you want to use some Plasti-Dip and play around with it, there are plenty of tutorials on YouTube. So, all right, guys, talk to you later.